Hello and welcome to Living Jazz. We've been talking about general public perception and awareness of jazz historically and up until today. You know, as a jazz musician, I think it would be safe to say we think it would be nice if people had a realistic view of our profession and this wonderful art form. Well, it's a big topic, but for the time that we have, let's just consider three influencing factors on the public perception of jazz. You know, B, as long as we've been around, we've seen jazz depicted on TV and in the movies in many ways. I'll admit to being frustrated sometimes.
I remember those old cartoons. They exploited the music and culture to show their animation chops and spread racist propaganda. And sometimes straight up lies.
And that's how Paul Whiteman was crowned the King of Jazz.
Those are the cartoons you watched? Dude, how old are you? But you're right about movie makers taking the music and the stories of the musicians and using them for their own agenda or to make their dramatic vision happen. I think they tend to put emphasis on the aspects of the musicians' lives that they're interested in and rarely get across what's so special about the music.
But instead, it's always the tragic, drug-addicted musicians spiraling out of control. General public sees this on the screen and thinks, oh, this is the jazz life. Oh, the drama, this tortured soul imprisoned in the grips of drug addiction. Oh yeah, Charlie Parker was a genius and set an incredibly high standard for a whole art form for decades to come. But oh, what a poor, tortured druggie.
They probably figured too much emphasis on the music would bore the audience. Another way to look at it is, people who are not that familiar with jazz might need to see the drama going on in the human condition of the artist so that they can relate. The movie could be a bridge into the music for people. Dig?
Oh man, that's what's wrong with people in this country today. Can't just enjoy good quality music. Got to wrap it up in all kinds of drama and tragedy. You know what makes me cringe sometimes is when they have the actors playing the instruments. Look like they're having an orgasm into the horn. Oh, hunching and wiggling. We don't play like that. This music takes too much concentration for all that.
You mean the actors should just stand there and play? That's visually boring, man. This is a visual medium, not a concert.
Look, I've been in this music 65 years, and I've never wiggled my ass on stage like that.
Never?
Never.
Never ever?
Never ever.
Never on stage?
Never on stage.
So where have you wiggled it?
Well, One good movie was, you remember Paris Blues with Sidney Poitier and Paul Newman? Sure, drugs was a serious problem, but not every musician was a junkie. Here was a couple of fellas working on their music and trying not to fall in love.
Yeah, and the music of the whole film is Duke Ellington and Strayhorn, with Louis Armstrong added in for good measure. Can't get more better than that.
But why the brother got to be in the back?
I like what Don Cheadle did with Miles Ahead. He played the hell out of that role.
But he made Miles out to be some kind of unhinged, gun-wielding crazy man.
At least they were out front about the fact that the storyline was fictional. I can appreciate that. Cheadle put in more than enough reality to counter the fictional. Like the business aspect and how the suits like to suck the artist dry. And the music. They show cats working out details in the music. And the wisdom.
It takes a long time to be able to play like yourself.
By the way, this was great. Classic Spike Lee.
But Mo Better Blues? Couldn't they have named it Mo Better Jazz?
Mo Bitter Jazz?
Better Jazz.
Bitter?
Better.
Bitter Jazz.
Oh!
Okay, influencing factor number 2, jazz festivals.
Oh, don't get me started.
In 1954, the Newport Jazz Festival was established in Rhode Island. It was considered the first annual jazz festival in America. It featured all the well-established, iconic jazz artists as well as the younger, more progressive musicians of the day. These big outdoor events became very popular, drawing thousands of people. In the years since, there have been summer jazz festivals cropping up all over.
But these days, jazz artists might end up feeling like a stepchild kept in the back of the room of the festival. Most of these festivals have some of today's great jazz artists, but in the festival's promotions, they show the headliners first. Pop, rock, and R&B artists such as Sting, John Mayer, Maroon 5, Snoop Dogg. Then further down on the list in small print, they show the names of the actual jazz artists. You'd think they were embarrassed about it. Now, back in the day at Newport Jazz Festival,
It didn't take them long to figure out that they needed to sell thousands, tens of thousands of tickets to fill these large venues. Jazz music alone wasn't going to do that.
But why'd they have to have so many pop artists? Not that we don't like other music, but it's a jazz festival. A jazz musician thinks people should come to a jazz festival for jazz. No respect for the music, man.
So, just jazz music at a jazz festival.
Well, yeah.
Musical tribalist?
What did you just...
Nothing, bro. Just kidding. But yeah, that's why we bring it up here. What is the public perception when you have a jazz festival and people can just go there to see Maroon 5 and Snoop Dogg?
Right? What does that say to them about the value of jazz?
I think with these events being so large, you have lots of opportunity for non-jazz and potential jazz audience to get a little familiar with the music little by little. A lot of these festivals have lectures, public panel discussions, and film on the music happening around town during festival time. And don't forget, these pop artists underwrite the huge cost of having such an event where an actual jazz audience can go and hear a variety of great performers. There's probably a lot to be said for bringing a lot of people to the music any way that you can. But Jazz in the Garden Music Fest in Miami? What the? All night long. Okay, influencing factor number 3, the music itself. Is the music itself sometimes a barrier? Some of this, one might say, is on society, people becoming desensitized, in my opinion.
Amen to that.
And some of it, one might say, is on the musicians, who can sometimes fail to communicate to the audience in the way that they can receive it.
Well, what the hell does that mean? The music communicates just fine if you're doing it right.
Meaning?
You have to play this music with passion, soul, rhythm, and keep the blues in it.
Yes, you mean like...
More like...
Baby's on the floor blowing this natural top. Hey, Bobby Reba. Hey, Bobby Reba. Hey, Bobby Reba. Yes, your baby knows. Yeah.
Jerry Wilson. Who is that singer?
Some cat with a nice hat.
Yeah, that's swinging. But you know, if an audience is not prepared for the heavy stuff, man, you could lose them. That's why I say that Coltrane...
I don't think Jaleel Shaw could lose anybody's attention. But I agree about playing with passion and soul. But sometimes when the only jazz people stumble onto has the style and the aesthetics of the 1940s and 50s, they can't relate. Especially when we play actual pop songs from those decades to an audience that's not even a jazz audience. People today just don't hear music like that anymore.
I don't think people pick up on the subtleties.
Oh, Gingy.
Everyone is so used to enhanced sounds and high decibel levels.
If I only had words, I could say all the beautiful things that I see. When you're with me, oh, my Gingy.
Musicians find ways to connect. Sometimes cats play covers of pop songs from more recent decades. You don't have to do that, of course, but it is the music of our times. And by the way, that is part of the jazz tradition. Anyway, these days is wide open. As my man Andre says, jazz today is like a multivitamin. cats are putting some of everything into it. I'm good with it, as long as it's coming from an honest place. I think that's the bottom line. It's good that the general population can see jazz presented in countless ways. Being that everyone is different, you never know what's going to present a way into the music for some people. For me, it was that Don Myrick solo on Earth, Wind & Fire's live version of Reasons that made me want to play saxophone. Then it was Grover Washington Jr., and from there to Cannonball Adderley. Some of the younger musicians are connected by bringing in some of their hip-hop and R&B influences.
Oh man, I can't use it.
Well, maybe they don't care if you can use it or not.
Whoop! Now see, that's the problem with these kids today. I've been in this business for 75 years, and we always respected our elders. These young people today.
Well, clearly we could go on. Perhaps at another time we'll come back around to music business and marketing, but we'll wrap it up for now. Thanks for watching, and join us for the next episode of Living Jazz. Bright moments.
Right in front of their elders. They want to be jazz musicians, but they don't want to play the blues.